What we're going to be working on today in the start of Chapter 2 for Dreamweaver is going to be setting up some of our head content. Okay. Now, many of you probably were on the internet today and you searched a topic. Would you agree? For example, you go online, and I was searching some stuff about FBLA. So if I'm going to be online and I'm going to search FBLA, what would I really type into my search engine? FBLA, does that make sense? Okay. Now, that is like a keyword. That's a hit on what I am trying to search for. So if you want your web pages to be found by people that are doing a search, you have to put in keywords that are going to be on the back side of your web page, not something your viewers are going to read, but it's going to be something that web page search engines would look at. Now, they have moved away from the exclusive use of keywords for search engine optimization. Big fancy words, okay? What I can best explain it as is people used to put in keywords that didn't really relate to what was on the web page, so they would get a higher hit count, so they'd move up further on the web page search. So like, for example, if you search something in Google, on the bottom it shows you how many Google pages you have. Do you know what I mean? Do you ever go past page 3? So some people will do things to try to get their page up higher. And do you know why some pages are up higher in the search engine? They are going to be clicked on more often for that same type of search. Okay? So Google right now uses something called a spider to go through and get web pages. They send out something on the internet. It goes to one web page, and on that web page, you look to see what's linked off. And then it goes there, and then it goes off. So it keeps growing and growing like a big web. And then it goes through and looks at the page, and it gets its content. Now, previously, like 3 to 5 years ago, web pages would only be found based on what is in their head content. And the head content is, again, information on the HTML portion before the body tag that is just in the background, but is not something visible to the viewers. And in there, you would put in keywords. We are still going to use keywords because it's very helpful, and we're also going to put in a description. Description is extremely important because when you do a web search and you type in FBLA and you get a whole long list and you're trying to decide which one and they have that brief sentence or two, that is going to be the description, and the description is done, again, in your head tag information. So when we typed in an HTML code, we would always start with HTML. And then the next tag we would do is head. And then in there, the only thing that we did in HTML coding was just to put in our title. And the title would be what would appear across our tab. But we're going to go through and add some more information. We're going to add keywords. We are going to add a description to go through. That information that appears in our head tag is going to be considered what's called meta tags. And that's information about the page, such as keywords and descriptions. So if you ever hear anyone say meta, basically meta is keywords and descriptions combined together. And we are going to be doing that under our page properties. So oftentimes, people will go through and do this on their home page. And in Dreamweaver, we call our home page the index.html page. That is by default the landing page for a site. That's important to know because if you have a web browser, if you are hosting a site like with GoDaddy or someplace like that, the default page that is going to open for your whole site should be called index.html. And by default, Dreamweaver will do .html, not .htm. Okay, it does need to be L because that is what is considered the root area and will launch by default. So the page settings is going to go through and allow us to put information in. Is your viewer going to see it? No. Okay, I want to show you an example first. Basically, when people search the web, if I go to a new tab here, and let's type in one of my favorite words, snowmobiling. Snowmobile would be considered a keyword. Does that make sense? So now what I have here, and I've obviously have searched this word before on my page, is I have a series of things that are coming up. Now, a couple things. Do I have any paid ads by Google that are showing up on this search? No, I don't. And how do we know? Usually the paid ads are highlighted in yellow, and they usually appear at the top, and then on the far right-hand side it would say paid advertising. Some companies pay Google to get put at the top of certain keyword searches because they're hoping then people will click on it and go off. Now, I don't, but the first website that came up just happens to be Skidoo. Why? Because it knows that's one. I click on off and Google realizes I'm logged in and it gives me information. Does that make sense? Now, what we see here, this sentence right here, explore a world of top performance snowmobiles from BRP Skidoo, the leading innovator of snowmobile technology and experiences for over 50 years. That is the description. Somebody had to put that in on the web page. If I go to this page, am I going to see that sentence? Do you see that sentence anywhere? I do not. It's going to be in the background. It's going to be in the head section of my page. Okay. The other thing that you will notice right here is we have a drop-down menu, and I can get cached, I can get similar, I can get share. What does similar mean? Similar site. So let's say I went through and I realized, hey, this isn't the site I want, but I want something like this. When you're searching on Google, if you click on similar, what it's going to do is it's going to give me other websites that would be similar to that. So if you're doing research for a class trying to get information, you could go there and it's going to give you some information. So now look at how it changed it on the top. Related, www.skidoo.com/snowmobile. So it's related to this website with the word snowmobile. Changes the page, would you agree? Right here, when we take a look at Google put this information on a map, and basically this is going to give me information about people in my area that are selling snowmobile parts. Would it show up like this if I was in California? How about if I was in Escanaba, Michigan? It would not. It would give me a map based on Escanaba, Michigan. Now, I had to turn on that setting on my Google account for location services so it would notify me where I am. Last weekend when I was driving across the states, we were going to Wausau and we were going to find a place to eat. And using my new smartphone, I said, okay, Google now, show me restaurants nearby. And it knew where I was because I was on my phone using GPS, and it gave me a list of restaurants within a 10-mile radius of the location I was at. And then it gave me a web search on a map very similar to this to go through. Is that helpful information? Would my restaurant come up if I didn't have a web page? It would, if somebody reviewed it. Does that make sense? Has anyone ever heard of Urban Spoon before? Urban Spoon is a website or an app that people will use to go through and rate, and oftentimes people go on there, or people will rate on Google+. They can go online, or Yelp. Have you heard of Yelp before for rating? Those types of things. Those searches will come up also. But we can go through on there, and that's what the star rentals are there, are the stars right here showing you the rating on that for Power Sports Retail Network. Okay? All of these sentences here are going to be the description that you need to type in. And think of keywords like the words that you would type in on your search engine in order to find the site. Okay. So where do we do that in Dreamweaver? That's the big question. So in Dreamweaver, the first thing I need you to make sure that you do is you need to be on your site, the Striped Umbrella. Because you have other sites. I only have one site. You need to be on the Striped Umbrella. You can switch to the Striped Umbrella a couple different ways. You can click on this drop-down menu over here and go to the Striped Umbrella, or you can go to Sites, Manage Sites, and then choose from your list. Either one of those is a fine way to get to it. You just need to make sure on the right that you're working in Striped Umbrella. Does everyone have Striped Umbrella up? The next thing we have to do once we're in Striped Umbrella is we're going to open up the page called index.html. So when I opened up index.html, You can see that the page launches for me in Dreamweaver. And then I'm going to go ahead on my menu bar on the very top, click on the word View. You have File, Edit, View, Insert. I'm going to go to View. And then there should be, do you see where it says Head Content? There's not a check mark in front of it. If you double click or click so you have a check mark in front of Head Content, that would be awesome. And again, I did that under View and then Head Content right here. Did you double click index.html? Then you did not save it correctly, and I'll have to help you with that a little bit later. I don't have a lot to teach today, so we should be able to go back and get that fixed. Okay. Now, once I went to View Head Content, you'll notice I have these additional icons right here. These were not here until I went to View Head Content. Okay, and if you look at some of that information, if you're not sure what it is, one of the nice things about this software is if you mouse over it, it should pop up and tell you. And it's not. I love it when it doesn't do that for me. The first one is going to be your meta icon. And remember, a meta tag basically is a way for you to deal with your descriptions and your keywords. The next one over is going to be your title. And then the third one is going to be your CSS. So anytime you're working with CSS, that would work here. So what we want to do is click on the title. Okay. Anything happened for you? On the bottom, do you see on the very bottom on your properties panel? And what does our title say? The striped umbrella. Now, do you see the title anywhere else on your page? Very up here on the top, okay? Basically, I'm showing you two ways. There are other ways to change your title also, but here are two ways you can change your title. The easiest way to change your title is literally just click right here and enter, but you can't go ahead and do your keywords and your descriptions the same way, so that's why I got your head content up here, and then you can click on title, and then we can modify down here. So in your book on page 2-6, we have a long title that we need to enter in. It's going to say the striped umbrella. But we need to enter in, after the striped umbrella, we're going to type in beach resort, and I'm finding this on page 2-6, beach resort and spa. And we're going to put in Fort Eugene, Florida. Okay, so basically all we're doing is we're going through and changing the title. Instead of it just saying striped umbrella, we're looking at on page 2-6 in instruction number 4, the words that are in bold. It should read the striped umbrella beach resort and spa, Fort Eugene, Florida. And once you're done with Fort Eugene, Florida, you can go ahead and hit enter. And you will notice that when you hit enter after your title's in, that property panel should go away on the bottom. Jared, you're going to find. The other way, of course, is to type it up there. Just, again, multiple ways. Now, we're going to go through and do keywords. So to do keywords, over here on the right, do you see this insert panel? Do you find where insert is on the right? If yours isn't there, you're going to have to go to Window and make sure that you have a check mark in front of insert. Should be the very top one. Okay? So everyone find your insert panel in the upper right-hand corner. It may be collapsed. basically what we have is we're going to be using this insert panel a lot. This has the most, right now these are our most common features that we're going to use in Dreamweaver. But notice that I can change and go to, these are my text features, here's my forms, here's data. But I'm going to stay in common right now. But this list goes down, so I can actually scroll down a little bit too. My computer is being really slow. But when I scroll down, you notice what I see right here towards the bottom? I have an option where it clicks on click head list arrow. So I'm going to click right here. And this gives me a drop-down menu. And this gives me what I can do within my head tag of my HTML page. Basically, I have my meta, I have my keywords, descriptions, refresh, base, and link. And the ones that we're going to be working with is going to be our keywords and our descriptions. So let's go ahead and do keywords first. And when you click on that, what's going to happen is you're going to get this window that's going to pop up. And I need you to type in the words that appear on page 2-7 in instruction number 3, the striped umbrella, comma, beach resort, comma, spa, comma, all of those. And you will notice that keywords are separated with comma. So the first one we put on there, striped umbrella, that's an important one to put first because that's really the name of the business. Now we think, oh, what are some other words that people would search our website for? Well, beach resort. That is a very common one. We have spa. And then you also have the name of the city. So right here, you need to think about what people would do, search on, that you would want to come up as a possibility they would click on. So building a site does not necessarily mean you just think about how they want to use the site, but you also have to think about how people will get to the site. So you have to put in information so that search engines can actually get to it. So we put in striped umbrella, beach resort, spa, Fort Eugene, Florida, Gulf of Mexico, fishing, dolphin cruises. All of those, again, are separated with a comma. As a web designer, you would need to come up with those keywords on what people would search on the site. Don't say that that would be the responsibility of the company because the company is contacting you for you to make the website form for you to realize there. And on that design tip on entering keywords and descriptions, we talk about a focus group or a marketing tool because this is a big thing for you to understand what people think of your business and what they're going to search for on it. So that design tip on page 2-7 is really important when we talk about how keywords and descriptions get used. Once you have those keywords in, you can go ahead and just click on OK. Now, notice what happened in your head content. What appeared? You have a picture of a key now. That picture of a key is pretty much telling you you added keywords to your page. It wasn't there before because guess what? You didn't have one. Let's do it again under our insert panel, under our head area. Let's go ahead and go to description. And when you click on description under our insert panel, you're going to get a box that appears, and you're going to type in the information on the top of page 2.8, instruction 2, that says the striped umbrella. Now, spelling is important. Capitalization is important. Because if you spell it wrong or don't capitalize it wrong, that's going to be how it appears to your users before they even get to your web page. When I first typed it in, I had mistakes, and I'm going back and double checking it that everything is spelled correctly. Once you have your description entered in correctly, you would click on OK. And then when you do that, you will notice that you get now another piece of information that's going to appear right here in your head content that will show you that you have now added a description. Before, you did not have a description, so it wasn't there. Let's take a look at our code view. So again, in Dreamweaver, I just switched from design view to code view. And in code view, what I want to point out is I have now added those lines of text that I have highlighted up here. And on my page, it shows up on line 20 and 21. And notice it says meta name, and we have keywords. The content appears here, and meta name description, and it goes within there. All of this is still within my head tag. It is right before my ending head tag. My beginning head tag is here. All of this information is, again, we can see that we have a CSS style applied right here, talking about small text and our different classifications. That was created automatically for you when you opened up this page. So by us going through and doing it, it didn't change any context on our page that our viewers will see, but it's going to allow, when we go to a web page and do a search, this would appear. So I'm going to take a look at this International Snowmobiling Manufacturer Association, ISMA. Now, when I actually right-click and do my View Page Source, right here, you will see I have my keywords and I have my descriptions. Again, not information that appears on the page, but when you view the source of your page, you're going to find that this information is going to appear here. I know you have a question. You're just going to have to wait. Okay? I'm almost done. So very important to our web design is to make sure you have your keywords and your descriptions. The last thing that we're going to take a look at doing to this index page today is to take a look at setting our page properties. Okay? So to change our page properties, I'm going to go back to my design view, and then I'm going to go to Modify on our menu bar, and the very first option under Modify and menu bar is going to be Page Properties. When I click on Modify Page Properties, this is going to pop up. And I can modify the properties of this page, the appearance, CSS, or the appearance.html, my links using CSS, heading CSS, title, or tracing. Which one are we going to use, CSS or HTML? Which one do you think we should use? CSS, because otherwise if we don't use CSS, what would have to happen? For the whole site, if we make a change, we'd have to go back and open up every page to do it. So we're going to modify our appearance using CSS. Now, right here, this is in one spot where I can change my default font, I can change my size, my text color, and my background color. You will notice right now that the background color for the striped umbrella index page is set to pound 6CF. What we want to do is we're going to actually change this to white, and that is going to be the bottommost lower right-hand corner. And when I mouse over it, it also will give me a pound FFF, and that is the hexadecimal value for white. Now, I want to show you something, and this is something cool that I love to do. Thank you. Oftentimes you see a color and you're like, oh, I want to match that color, and you kind of have to guess back and forth until you get the right color. Let's say I wanted to have the background color set to this green in the umbrella. Now, for those of you that have used photoshopping tools before, you've probably seen the eyedropper before. There is also an eyedropper feature right within Dreamweaver. What does eyedropper do? It basically, you will see that my cursor, because I'm in colors, is now looks like a medicine or an eyedropper, and wherever I go to, you will notice that my hexadecimal value changes. And if I went up here to this green, and you will notice depending on where I even click within the green, it'll give me a different value. I can click right here, and if I clicked on Apply, it really pulled a color right off of my banner. I didn't have to guess and try to go some other spot. The hexadecimal color dropper is awesome. So if you want to play a little bit and choose a couple different colors, that would be awesome. When you are done, I do want the color back to white, so the pound FFF, but you can apply a couple different colors to that. So when you are done, eventually I want it to look back like this. But it is fun to be able to try to grab some of these different colors that appear within your head area. Now, the other thing I love to point out in Dreamweaver is I know I have not saved my page since I've done edits. Does anyone know how? I know I haven't saved. If you look right here, do you see my file name? Do you see how my file name has an asterisk after it? Dreamweaver is showing me I have modified this page and I have not saved it yet. Anytime in Dreamweaver you see a file that's open that has an asterisk after the name of it, that tells you you've modified it and you have not saved it yet. So, keyboard shortcut for save is the same in any program. It's going to be Control-S, or you can click on File Save. Either one will work fine. Once I do a Control-S, you will notice that asterisk goes away. I can go in and modify anything and that asterisk will come back up again just to notify me to say, hey, you have changed something. Please make sure you get that saved. Okay, that is section lesson 1 for chapter 2. That's how far I wanted to get today. Some of you, I think, still needed to work on the part of the outline for lesson 1 for chapter 2, and then I'm also going to share out with you the outline for lesson 2 for chapter 2, because I'm going to try to introduce that tomorrow. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to teach any more today. I'm going to call it quits for here today. Allow you to work on lesson 1, and then once I get it shared to you, you can work on lesson 2 as well. A couple of you have questions. If you can just wait until I get the lesson 2 presentation shared out, that would be awesome.